showing off like, that's right, I'm just gonna buy, I'm just gonna be the one who owns everything for the future. He's like,
It's
let me predict the weather right now. It's exactly 14 degrees and there's gonna be a maelstrom.
You gotta love to be gone back yet. Love is a 10 out of you, don't you grab it.
welcome to Lobster Magnet and Friends. I'm here with my buddy Goro.
Hey, what's up?
And now that we are in our Hunter x Hunter, deprived state, it is time to move on to Dr. Stone. And as promised, we are covering the most recent chapter, 85. Yeah, and what a great chapter to come back on. Holy crap.
Yeah. Fucking oil.
Oh,
The king of resources.
I'm gonna mess up my recording, but I have to read this. There's like this great comment on like the manga stream, where they basically say he's like a fusion of Luffy, Nami, Sanji, and George W. Bush.
Luffy, Nami, Sanji, and George W. Bush.
He wants
That's
that oil.
the captain's character.
Yeah. Well, it was a great. I love the build up where it's like, oh, sexy reporter lady, use your information on peoples and contacts to go find us. All right, let's go get him. She's like, no, not that man. She's like, ooh, but he's so cute and kawaii, but he's crazy. He's this mad billionaire inventor who sails the seas and is a party guy. And then they wake him up and he doesn't even lose a beat, and it's like, I'm back.
What a great way to introduce a new character. Just like have the reporter like slowly like come to realization of this guy is probably the most perfect guy for the job, but he's like such a pain in the ass.
Well, I'm curious to see, like, because, like, we get the selfish impulses, like, I'm going to control everything! and, he's, like, the adventurous type of rich person where, he uses his wealth to, like, do shit. Kind of like how James Cameron, when he's not making movies, he doesn't just sit around and do shit and, like, play golf or, like, shoot, like Daniel Plainview, after he gets all his money, he's just alone in a mansion with these dogs and he just shoots random shit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With his money, Nanami, how do you pronounce his name? Nane Ryuusai?
Let's look up this name again. We'll get it right.
It's like on page 8 or 9 where he like comes back.
Oh snap! Nanami Ryuusai.
Nanami Ryuusai. Yeah, and he just comes in without a pitch, and he's not like depressed, like oh no, I don't have my butler. He's like, the world's gone. Well, I'm just gonna get it back for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very positive, like crazy, opportunistic kind of personality.
Yeah, exactly, and it's really fun. It's really fun. It's like, I hate this meme, but I think it's very applicable. He's got that big dick energy.
Big dick energy? That's a meme?
You never heard of big dick energy? It was like from the...
It sounds familiar.
It was like from the summer. I forget who originated it, but it was like, it was weird. It was like this kind of like vaguely feminist attempt to try and like, recontextualize like male masculinity, but without the toxicity. And it's like, big dick energy is not exclusive to one gender. Ellen DeGeneres, she's got big dick energy. And the idea is it's confidence without cockiness.
Right, okay.
It's writing a big check and having no sweat about being able to cash it.
Yeah. I guess that's very appropriate for this character. This character's got big dick energy.
He's got big dick energy. He's like, he just loves life, happy to be back, doesn't lose a beat, doesn't like moan, and he's like instantly into it, and he's already showing the flaws of Senku's freaking sailing plan. And it's a great, and he's got those like black tattoo, like stone tattoos on his arm, on his fingers.
Yeah,
it looks really.
And he has a signature little snap whenever he's like showing off, like, that's right, I'm just gonna buy, I'm just gonna be the one who owns everything for the future.
Yeah,
And then he's like,
it's
let me predict the weather right now. It's exactly 14 degrees and there's gonna be a maelstrom.
yeah. Big props to Boichi. Like, it's just like a 10 out of 10. Execution on character introduction and design.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fucking great. I cannot imagine someone I'm like so sold on within like minutes of him appearing on screen.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell this is like already a fun character, and we're gonna have a lot of fun having him be the captain of this boat.
Yeah,
And
well, it's interesting because like it seems like obviously he's not a super scientist as much as Senku, but it seems like he's being built like he really knows about like production, shipping, sailing. So and weather. So he has a very specific skill of scientific knowledge where he's gonna like clash with Senku. It'll be interesting to see if he just cooperates or if there's kind of like a butting of the heads since he's Mr. Big Dick Energy, or will he just respect Senku, or will they have like the sort of friendly rivalry?
well, I think for now they're both working towards the same goal, which is making a big, better ship and then sailing it across the world, um, to to figure out scientific advancements. So when he's teamed up with Senku, he can use those scientific advancements to his advantage when civilization gets rebuilt.
Yeah. It seems like it's a very positive relationship so far, and yeah, well, it seems like it's definitely like a lot less malicious than Asagari again.
Or the beginning of Tsukasa's and
Yeah.
Senku's
It is very
relationship.
similar to the beginning of Tsukasa's, but like
No, no, or not exactly that. That's what I mean.
oh, all right.
Right. I don't think it is like that similar at all to Tsukasa and Senku's relationship in the beginning.
Well, they started out very positively, and like you remember the whatchamacallit, they he revives Tsukasa, and Tsukasa's like totally into Senku, and he's like, "How many enemies must I destroy?" And he like kills the lions with his bare hands by throwing rocks at them.
Yeah. That was. I mean, at least that point they were cooperating, but then afterwards, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's the point where you could see there was a lot of conflict of interest.
Well, that's interesting to see in the next chapter if it'll be in that or if it like. But I do love the fact that we just didn't get like a ship, to start out with. That there's a little bit more build up and more science adventure fun time before they can actually start sailing.
Yeah, which is nice. I didn't realize like you had to get certain quality wood too for them building this crazy ass ship. And now Senku is kind of like he's not going with the default sailing ship design. Like, what was the whole purpose of designing a sailing ship if you're not gonna?
Well, I think now the idea is that now that they got this super sailor navigator who's telling them that like they don't have the materials, they'll have to like either come up with a new design, a more modern design with the materials that they have present, or just start from scratch and like don't you remember for One Piece, the keel is the most important part of the ship, and if the keel is made out of like shitty wood, then it won't be able to last.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Yeah. Forgot. That was the death of
The
going Merry.
Merry, yeah, like one of the very few nautical shit that like isn't just magical bullshit in One Piece.
Yeah, and yeah, I like that arc mostly because of I mean, not mostly because, but one of the reasons I like that arc was all the ship terminology stuff. And
It's really nice in One Piece when you get like real life ship crap, given how like fantastical and how far removed from anything that's even remotely resembling piracy it is.
yeah, and then when Frankie builds the new ship, and then like, yes, this new ship is gonna be so awesome. I love this ship. It's made from the wood of
The god tree of the 200 million belly wood and all this other crap. Well, there you go. What's important? Well, I'm just curious to see if, like, because they're gonna go for like a motor powered thing, if they're gonna like go for like try and make a metal ship.
Um, maybe.
But yeah, and now I'm super curious in terms of like now they got to find oil, they got to figure out a new way to build the ship. I'm pleased. Like in Dr. Stone,
they already wasted like so much manpower too, just trying to make this classical ship. I thought Senku would have been like a little bit smarter about like, well, I guess he's not the most genius.
He's like an overall genius, but he's not like I'm sure he's a master of all trades. He's a jack of all trades, master of none.
Okay, I don't know about master of none. He's a master of science.
Well, yeah, but like he's the master of like science, but like he didn't have the craftsmanship to do the all the glass blowing that the the super strong guy, that your favorite character was able to do.
The artisan's character.
Yeah, the artisan.
I don't know if he's my favorite character. He's one of my favorites, but I mean, I like Senku and I like Kohaku. I like those are my top two.
Those are your top two. I don't
top
know.
Two favorites.
I'd have to think harder, and like obviously Senku ranks at top. He's the guy who's leading the whole series, but although I think like I'm amazed that this Nanami Ryuusai was able to crack like the top 10, maybe even the top 5 from just one appearance. It's a little too early to judge if he's like the greatest.
5? I don't.
All right,
I don't
maybe
know.
that's being a little too generous, but like, I hated Asagari Gen. I came to really like him later on, and this guy's already has like a great introduction. He's just this like fucking thing of adventure. Like, I'm half expecting that he's gonna like burst through the roof and say, "What are you doing, sitting around, in front of a fucking computer? Let's go to the New York Bay and go on an adventure."
And then, of course, he'll be like,
yeah, like that. But I can't go to New York. I'm gonna do this thing. And then he snaps his fingers, and a fucking helicopter comes. You're
like, wait, I got a YouTube channel to take care of.
It doesn't matter.
We'll bring you two on the boat.
Yeah. He's like, he feels like a less gaggy version of like the Terry Crews Old Spice guy.
Oh yeah. Maybe.
So I'm like super pumped. Did you like that little gag scene where they're like talking about the pros and cons of reviving him, and then Senku's like, he has mad skills, I'm just gonna do it, and he does it in the background?
I kind of figured Senku would do something like that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, conceptually, it wasn't a great gag, but I think the art really did a good job of selling it.
Yeah.
Like I think there
pretty good.
I think there are a lot of things in Dr. Stone that like aren't like really that funny in practice, but I think Boichi just does like a much better job of like selling it purely through his art and executing on them.
Yeah, like when Magma and what's her the Lillian Voss fangirl were fighting each other. Like that was a nice little
yeah
gag.
It was a nice little, she kicks him in the nuts. It's like, I get it, but it still wasn't fucking nice of you.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I want them to
he
become
really is
a
like
couple. I want them to become a couple.
Oh yeah. I bet that's what's going on in the back of Boichi's mind.
Yeah. He'd ship it. I would accept that. The beginning of it. Yeah, exactly. Just that little thing, which is kind of like the most tropey bullshit anime thing, but he just sells it with his art.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the genius of Boichi. He can go from like that really ultra detailed, hyper muscular to like really just over the top, goofy gag things that's like feels like maybe it's from his Korean background. The fact that it's like not just like the typical facial fractures, which is generally something I don't really like, but I've just sort of learned to tolerate.
It's different facial fractures. He's got a unique take on it, I think.
Yeah,
and most other mangakas.
It just makes me really, really love him. And now we've got the quest for oil. Oh man, an adventure to get oil, an adventure to make the new thing. Dr. Stone is like, the more complicated bullshit you have in terms of what they need to build, the better it becomes. Kind of like almost like an inverted version of Hunter x Hunter, where it's like the more complicated things you add to the plot, the better it gets. Only with Dr. Stone, the more complicated shit about crap they get, the more fun it becomes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to more Doctor Stone now. Like, I think after the hiatus of Doctor Stone and then reading it again, I didn't think I would get as excited about it again, but now I'm still pretty excited about it. I just can't wait for them to make new shit and strike oil. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's funny how engaged you are, even though technically there aren't many mysteries outside of the stone thing, and we don't even care. We just like to see him build shit.
Yeah. Oh, and I love the little thermometer thing he made. It's just like showing us also like, oh, you can also do this with a straw and a bottle of alcohol.
Yeah, that was neat. But one thing I was confused is like, did Senku's thermometer have mercury, and how did he get the mercury?
All right, well, that's a good question, but I don't fucking know.
And that maybe that's not the best detail, but it was a cool thing. Like, you can make your own thermometer, just put the alcohol in it, and all this other stuff. I was like, oh, that's so fun.
Yeah,
I want Senku to become.
Get some ice from the corpse of.
Yeah, that was a great illustration of him getting ice from the corpse of fucking Tsukasa.
Yeah. Oh, that was a nice little detail.
I chuckled at that.
Yeah.
God, I forget. Did you get any further in Promise Neverland?
No, not yet, really.
I wanted to see if you got up to the time jump I wanted to talk about with you, because I wanted to compare it more in terms of it's funny to compare, these were the two promised children, and one is living up to the promise, while the promised Neverland is going into a Neverland. But, I'm enjoying the most recent arc, but I still have this feeling of the most recent chapter we had felt like there was a lot of time wasting until the last page. And I feel like there's a lot of that in Promise Neverland, where it's just sort of Emma's oh, I don't want to do the decision. Let's walk through the forest, blah, 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 blah. Let's reflect over shit that we've already established. While every Dr. Stone chapter feels like there's propulsive momentum. They're building something, creating something, finding something, building something so they can find something else.
Yeah, and just in general, there's more fun with it than.
Well, Promise Neverland is intentionally not a very. It's kind of a dark, mean series, and it's at its best when it's being mean and dark. But it still tries to have those fun moments where it's like, oh, they're all in the shelter and they're having fun playtime. But then you're just kind of like, this is bullshit. I don't care about any of these children. Can we just go back to Ray being a cynical asshole, thinking about how leaving children behind to for the demons to eat instead of him being a nice guy.
Yeah,
but Promise Neverland, Dr. Stone, it sets itself out as fun, even though it's technically an apocalyptic story. It doesn't take an apocalyptic tone. It's got a great enthusiasm. It's got this sort of humanist, Star Trek can do, science can overcome all of, society's problems, positivity, which is just infectious.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny because you're right. Promise Neverland isn't supposed to be fun, and it's a mystery. It's dark. It's best when it's being mean and cruel.
It doesn't make fun of itself.
Yeah, and honestly,
always telling a story.
And honestly, it shouldn't. But the recipe for success of Promise Neverland is being mean and dark. That's when it's at its best. I think.
I think we'll probably have to go over this again with a Promise Neverland review, but I'm also thinking it has to do with Emma's it just kind of bothers me a little bit how overwhelmingly positive Emma's character is in this sort of dark.
Well,
What world that I thought was going to be darker?
that's
like, more.
so well, it still is kind of dark, not as dark as it could be, but like that's the whole point about like what makes Emma like an iconic female character is that she's got this precocious can-do spirit that she always sees the best in people, and no matter how dark it is, she'll figure out a way to push forward through her sheer will and and determination. And she's not a boob ninja, she's not like fucking any of the girls in Goblin Slayer. She's just a smart kid. She doesn't have any superpowers, and that's what makes her sort of. I mean, I guess I could understand your sort of difficulty in the sense it feels like
she's like an overly shonen character.
It feels like she needs to be punished more. Like she should have to make more dark choices, and she should have to make them more frequently. Because actually, this is interesting. Now that you bring it, we'll bring this back to Dr. Stone. We're getting on a tangent, but now that it reminds me very much. Have you ever heard of this series called Falling Skies?
No, what's that?
So Falling Skies was this show on TNT. It was like their answer to The Walking Dead. It was basically like there's this alien invasion story, and like aliens have destroyed the world, and this guy named Tom Mason is helping to lead the human militia. And it lasted a while. It lasted 5 seasons, but it just kind of got worse and worse. And it was like really going for that like edgy, dark, Walking Dead vibe. The aliens had like put these harnesses on the kids' backs that made them into like slaves, and one of his kids had the harness and he wanted to save all the kids. But what got really insufferable as the series went on is that like Tom Mason would always take like the high moral ground, and he would never get punished for it. He would always be on the right side. He was like, we can't kill these people, we can save them. And the story would always give some sort of stupid fucking reason as to like why his decision was right and why he was the moral paragon. He always got to the high ground, and after a while it just got insufferable. He was just like, you just like, I want you to punch him
That's
down.
a really good point. That is kind of like Emma's character. That sounds almost exactly like what Emma's character is becoming.
And it's, he's obviously made to like, every time he always has like some history anecdote to like, well, in the Battle of Lexington, this might seem impossible, but that's what they thought in the Battle of Lexington, and here's my rah, rah, rah speech. And like by the 5th season when it ended, you just wanted to throw a rock at him. He was just like that insufferable. You just wanted to see him get like dragged through the muck. And he was designed to be like Rick Grimes. Whatchamacallit, but the thing about Rick Grimes in Walking Dead is that Rick Grimes fails. He makes bad choices.
He makes bad choices and gets people killed.
Yeah,
too.
He gets people killed. He tries to be nice and he gets his arm chopped off. Rick Grimes is perpetually
in the comic,
punished.
at least.
Yeah, in the comic, and in the show to a certain degree. He still kept his arm in the fucking show. But Rick Grimes gets punished, which makes him a little bit more relatable.
Yeah.
Than this other guy who always gets to make the high decision, even though the story says like, oh, well, you're going to have to sacrifice these kids. And he's like, no, we can't sacrifice these kids. Well, every strategic option says you got to sacrifice the kids. No, we can't. Blah, 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 blah. And then, maybe someone else gets hurt, but like he doesn't get hurt. He doesn't have any direct consequences. And he's like, and all of his 3 children survive through the whole series. And it's like, he had 3 sons. He couldn't kill one?
Yeah.
Even Rick Grimes, even in the best case scenario, Carl gets his fucking eye blown out. So, what the fuck? He couldn't, like, have one of them lose a limb? Anyway, all right, let's wrap this up. I gotta get going soon. Whatchamacallit. But Senku, like, he has the advantage of, like, he's a much more positive and optimistic character. And because his positive and optimism is always built around building stuff, we're happy to have him do stuff.
Yeah. I don't know how exactly that ties in with Dr. Stone at all, but that was a good try of a segue.
Yeah, I really couldn't tie it back, but I when we get into Promised Neverland, I think that's a really interesting comparison, comparing Tom Mason to like Emma, and why they both feel a little bit obnoxious and insufferable.
Yeah.
Versus like someone other thing. But anyway, what would you rate this chapter?
It was an 8.
I don't know. I think it was a 9. Like,
really?
Like nothing major happened, but like I was just so sold on the introduction of Nanami, and I think it accomplished a lot with like very little page count.
I have to see where it goes from here, but the reason why I'm not rating it that highly is because like right away. It's just it's like a little bit of a self-contained chapter. They haven't really like started doing any of this more sciencey stuff
Well, true.
yet.
It's very beginning of arc thing, but it got me psyched. It was like, I think out of all the chapters this week, it was the one I enjoyed the most.
I mean, I like it too. I just don't think it's 9 worthy.
Fair enough. Well, let us know in the comments below whether you think, if you're like on the big dick energy Nanami hype train, or if you're more tepid with Goro, where you enjoyed it but like you weren't blown away.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for hanging out with us. We're gonna have 2 things where all 3 of us will return the Holy Trinity, the 3 admirals of this fucking little off-brand YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I just got a great idea
What?
for how we could do our One Piece review.
What's the idea? Let me know before we sign off.
All like have like a specific color, dress in a specific color for like the 3 admirals of One Piece.
We'll ask. Maybe you have a blue shirt. I have a red shirt, and maybe Scott has a yellow shirt. Or that actually might be a fun idea.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. If you have like a little suit jacket, just like put it over your shoulders.
I think I can do that. I think I can do that.
We could all do that, actually.
I don't know. We'll have to see if Scott has one. Bump, bump, bump.
Oh, it has to be a white suit jacket, though.
What did it say?
It has to be a white suit jacket in order for it to be.
You can't win them all. This is like a ghetto idea, so I think of suit jacket, and then maybe I'll even get like the music, and we can all be turned around, and then I can have the sound effect.
Yeah.
It'll be like the Dr. Stone intro. All right. We'll talk about it with Scott when we get him online. Oh, I love this idea.
Oh, what about hats too? Can we get like hats as well? Maybe?
We're not. I don't think we're gonna get a marine cap.
Oh,
Like
not
the
marine
suit
cap.
jacket. Like I think is a smart idea.
Okay. All right. Fine. All right. We can do that.
Yeah, just like wear it without like over
Without
the shoulders.
putting our arms through the sleeves.
Yeah. I'd love it. I fucking love that idea.
Okay.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back with more stuff later whenever we record it and whenever I upload it. And remember, lobster and tennis, but don't you grab it.
See you guys.